How's it going, everybody? My name is Philip, and today I'm going to be reacting to 10 plus surprising facts about Ukraine. Now, I did one song about Ukraine, and I realized how much I didn't know about the country. Because for one, the one thing that I knew about Ukraine, was Chernobyl, obviously. And that they broke off from the Soviets in like the 90s or something like that. And the only reason why I know that is because in the Animaniacs song, the countries of the world, Ukraine wasn't in there, which was a bit surprising. You know, I think they did add them, or they are adding them into the new song, but I haven't heard that one yet. So yeah, and then I also looked it up. I think I also saw that they were originally founded in the 60s or something like that. I've looked a little bit of Ukraine. Not a whole heck of a lot, but I really just wanted to, I guess, learn a little bit about it. Because like I said, I didn't know a single thing about Ukraine other than, like I said, the fact that they came from, or they split off. Let's go with that. They split off from the Soviets in the 90s. Yeah, because I just looked it up. So their first independence was 1918. See, I did not know that. See, there's so much about the world that I realize that I don't know. Because I feel like all I remember talking about in school was obviously the World Wars, World War II more than the other one, the World War One. It's like there was multiple, and for some reason I feel like I remember talking about like the French Revolution. I don't remember much else. Doesn't mean we didn't, but yeah. Oh, that's interesting. They were the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. Huh. That's interesting. Anyways, so like I said, I'm sure this isn't going to cover all the history of Ukraine because it's just 10 surprising facts about Ukraine. I don't know why, but I've kind of, animated history of Ukraine. There we go. That's added to my watch later list. But I feel like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to learn about different countries. I like I said, I realize I don't know a lot about other countries, especially when I know more about countries when it comes to sports. I think Shevchenko was. I think he's actually the coach to Ukraine's national team, but he used to play. Was it Chelsea? They used to play for. Like I said, when it comes to sports, football and whatnot, I tend to gravitate and know more about most of these countries. Or I know more about the countries. Anyways, so let's check out the 10 surprising facts about Ukraine.
Welcome to Ukraine, where we're going to learn as much as we can about this amazing nation that's filled with people like you and me. Ones with hope, family, and opportunity in mind. But before we get into the nitty-gritty facts of Ukraine, I better introduce myself. How's it going, everybody? My name is Dave Walpole, and welcome to FTD Facts, the channel where we look at people, cultures, and places from all around the world.
I also heard that Ukraine's actually very beautiful as well.
Ukraine. I think it is a beautiful nation, and it's got a lot going for it. Now, that being said, if you're new here on FTD Facts and you want to learn about new countries and new places around the world, well, hit that subscribe button and join us here every single Monday where we look at a new country from any place in the world. But with that, I'll talk about that a little bit later, because right now we got to talk about Ukraine.
This is an interesting intro. I like it.
Now, probably the first and foremost question is, how do you pronounce this country's name? Is it Ukraine or is it the Ukraine? Well, that's actually just a really good question. So firstly,
I've never heard that
to say
asked,
the Ukraine,
ever.
You might get some people that are going to look at you in a very negative way. It's actually pronounced Ukraine. Now, why would the be considered negative? Well, at one point, Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, and back then, that's when people from other parts of Russia pretty much called Ukraine the Ukraine. And now that it's its own independent nation, you probably should just call it Ukraine out of respect to the people who fought for their own independence. Am I right?
Would have just
Which,
called
by the
it
way,
Ukraine
was
regardless.
August 24th, 1991, when Ukraine got its own independence, and this was pretty much after the fall of the Soviet Union. Goodbye, Berlin Wall. But I find it very amazing how a three-letter word called THE could mean something so negative sometimes. Of course, there might be some of you guys out there who are from Ukraine who are like, nah, it doesn't really matter. It's totally okay. But some people might be like, yeah, no, we are not the Ukraine. So Ukraine is also a very important country in all of Europe. Now, I'm going to get into some of those details shortly, but let's be real. One thing that Ukraine has is a large military, but more importantly, it's a rather fertile country. And I don't mean like, the women are fertile, like they're getting knocked up and having babies all the time. As a matter
I was not thinking that.
That's a little bit, quite the opposite because they have a decreasing population. I mean, like the country has very fertile soil. But speaking of population, let's look at how big Ukraine actually is. In terms of population, it sits at the 32nd largest country in the world, having a population of around 42,418,235
Still a lot of people
as of a 2017 estimate. Now, like I said, it's a declining population because in 2001, the census stated that the country had about 48 million people within the country. So why the decline? Well, first of all, high death rates and low birth rates. At one point, Ukraine had its peak population at over 52 million people in 1993. Wow. By the year 2016, its population had dropped to over 18%. And with that, in 2018, it was reported that there was approximately 11.1 deaths for every 1,000 people, while only having 9 births for every 1,000. As well, there have been losses of territories from conflicts like Crimea and Donbass that led to a population decrease. Okay. And with that, I don't really want to get into the dark sides of Ukraine. I mean, every country has its dark moments. Yeah. Canada, United States, France, they've all, had some terrible things happen to them. So I'm going to skip that because while we're on the topic of size, let's talk about land size. Basically, the country sits at 45th roughly in the world, coming in with a rough approximate land size of 603,628 kilometers square. Now, there might be some people out there who might say that's not accurate because of territorial loss, but yeah, okay, that's true. Also, currently, Ukraine, when it comes to land size, it has 2 titles that make it a little bit confusing. First of all, it's the second largest European country, but with that, it is the largest country that is wholly in Europe, meaning that the whole country is within Europe. I mean, Russia is big, but not all of Russia is within Europe. There's, the East, which doesn't really count.
Okay.
Sorry, Russia. And like I said, when it comes to this land, it is extremely, extremely fertile. How fertile is it? Well, they say over 56% of the entire land within the country is fertile soil. On top of that, there is about 2% that is used for permanent crops.
I will say, this map is very colorful and it's throwing me off. There's so much to look at. And I don't know what I'm looking at. I know it's obviously Ukraine, but I can't read all that, so I'm kind of lost on it. But
and 13% used for permanent pastures, and 18% of this is forest and woodland, while 9% is classified as other. For worldwide arable land alone, it comes in at 3rd in terms of country percentage, but it comes in at 10th in overall, with a total arable size of 338,619 kilometers square. And you might be thinking, with all of this arable land, what kind of stuff do they actually produce, like vegetables, that sort of stuff? Well, the most profitable thing that they produce that is grown in the ground is sunflowers. Yes, I know, it seems weird.
That other picture
thought the sunflower would be a really viable thing. Well, it's oil. For example, it's number 1 in the world for sunflower oil, giving approximately 4 million tons of it a year. It's also the 3rd exporter in the world for barley, 4th for corn, and 6th for wheat, and 7th for soybeans. For its sunflower oil, China is actually the biggest buyer of this product. Also, a little under 60% of the soybeans that come from the country are under a company known as Danube Soya. Oh yeah, and when it comes to the soil, just so you guys know, yeah, it's not only all over the place, but it's really thick. Some areas, it's like 5 feet thick. That is a lot of black soil. Like, I am 5'8", guys. Think about it. It's like my head is like, I would be, you know what I mean? If I was planted into the ground. Considering we were on the topic of food, did you know that Ukrainians came up with the idea of eggs for Easter? Well, at least that's what they like to say. It's a bit of a bizarre thing to do during Easter now that we think about it, but it is known as Pysanka. And back in the day, instead of coloring them like we do now, what they would do is cover them with wax resin and then dye them. And although there have been fragments of these shells found in Poland from ancient times, no remains from these periods were found in Ukraine. That being said, Ukrainians believed in Dazbo, which was the sun god, and they decorated their eggs to that. Which actually kind of means the whole painting of an egg predates Christian rule. That's right. You could almost say it's a bit pagan. That's right. Sorry, Christians. During that time, for Ukrainians, birds were considered the chosen creature of the sun god. And during that time, also, humans could not catch birds. And they honored them by taking their eggs, which meant rebirth of the earth or nature, which also coincides with spring. And that's kind of how the Christians were like, hey, wait, they're doing this around the same time.
Okay, my brain's like, I'm trying to process. I never thought of Easter egg painting as like a Christian thing. I just thought it was an Easter thing. I guess Easter is technically something that has to do with Christianity because of the resurrection and whatnot. But I just never thought of it as an actual Christian holiday. Growing up as a Christian, I just always Easter bunny, and it's Easter. Which is terrible. Saying that I'm a Christian and then not thinking that as a Christian holiday. It's, but maybe, I don't know. I just don't think the eggs symbolized anything to do with Christianity or anything like that. That's why I think it's kind of a bit silly that he's saying this. Sorry, Christians, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, I don't, whatever. I mean, I never saw it that way, so whatever. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just have issues. I don't know.
I'm just going to take it, and it's with us now. Did you know that Ukraine was the first country to ever have an official constitution? That's right.
Oh.
In today's world, Ukraine is listed as a unitary semi-presidential constitutional republic, meaning that it has a president and prime minister. As a matter of fact, the president is voted for every 5 years, and their parliament is called Verkhovna Rada with over 450 seats, which means some of the decisions or most of the decisions within the government has to be approved by both the president and the prime minister and the cabinet.
Yo, how long does it take to pass bills and law? He might go over this right now, but because I know that the little bit that I remember from it wasn't business, it was government class, that it takes like 6 months here in the U.S. to try and get a law passed, and if it doesn't get passed, then you have to go back, edit it or whatever, and then resubmit it. So it takes like years because it takes so long to try and pass a bill here. I also don't know how many people are in our cabinet / this. I don't feel like it's that much. So how long does it take to try and pass bills?
But back to this world's first constitution, it was known as the Constitution of Philip Orlick, which was introduced in 1710. It was the first constitution that also outlined rights of the government and its people. Which is kind of crazy because, when you look at, like, Americans who are like, yo, that's our constitution, but Ukrainians are like, well, ours is really old and we've had to change it a couple of times because we know it's outdated.
Yo, Ukraine's on another level. Yo, we need to, here in the U.S., we need to follow. what Ukraine's been doing, because how is it that we don't want to change it? I don't understand. Like, it's like, that's the exact face that I want to give some of these people. That's like, but it's our constitutional right to hold guns, blah blah blah. I just want to look at them like this. Really? Like, come on, change this. It's outdated. For fuck's sake.
Yeah. Considering we are on the topic of constitutions and governments, let's talk about the capital for just a second.
Kiev?
Known as Kiev, it has a population of 2.8 million people, at least estimated.
I like those
Following
houses,
that,
though.
there is Kharkiv, which has 1.4 million people, and Odessa with over 1 million people. And although the city of Lviv may come in at 7th largest with a population of 732,000, it's actually cafe capital of the entire country, as they have over 1,500 cafes.
Wow.
That's insane. And last but not least, probably my favorite thing to talk about of every single country is how well countries, its culture, and people preserve its own culture and traditions, both culturally and naturally.
I would love to know
culture
this.
a lot there, but you'll see why. The reason for this is Ukraine is a country that has 6 cultural and 1 natural UNESCO World Heritage sites.
That looks really
As a matter
nice.
of fact, Lviv city center is considered one of these, which has been around since the Middle Ages. And it's not gonna stop there, because currently, and I'm actually really surprised at this, because Ukraine has 16 sites on the tentative list, which is really high. So you might see more UNESCO World Heritage sites popping up in the next couple of years.
That's pretty cool.
Anyways, guys, that's it for me. My name's Dave Walpole. Did you guys have fun learning about Ukraine? Now, okay, yeah, this has been a rather short video. You can't put everything into the video. And if you guys want a part 2, be sure to hit that like button.
So that's actually very interesting. I like the fact that people use their brain in Ukraine and know that something's outdated, we need to change it. Something, like I said, the US needs to adopt. Also, let me know in the comment section below if you're from Ukraine, or if you lived in Ukraine at some point, or know quite a bit about Ukraine. Give me another video to react to about Ukraine. But also, my nose is running. But also, how long does it take for like a bill or a law to get passed? A new law that gets, because 450 members, obviously they all, like 450 people are not all gonna think the same, obviously. So like their viewpoints are gonna be so different, and it's just like how is everyone gonna agree on something? Because that's a lot of people. And like, how many, also, okay, maybe this is another question that needs to be asked. How many people does it need to take, or how many people does it take for a law to be dismissed or not approved? You know, because obviously it has to be more than one. It has to be like, what? I mean, I feel like it had to be more than one. But does it have to be like more than like a quarter of it or something? A quarter of them? Or does it just have to be not unanimous, but like the more votes you get, it gets approved or something? So if there's only like, there's 450 people and like, crap, I'm gonna have to do math. 226 people voted yes, and 224 people voted no. Is that fuck? Yeah, no, I think that's right. So if like one person votes yes, and it just makes it up that little bit more, is that how that works? I don't know. But let me know in the comment section below. I want to learn more about certain country. Well, okay, every country. I feel like I've missed out on a lot of different countries. I also want to do one on Mongolia. I've watched crap, why am I so... The Who. So I've watched The Who, and I really like their music. I'm not gonna lie. And obviously after watching Wolf Totem and seeing what is now seen as a swastika, and then learning more about it later on, I realized how much I don't know about basically every country. I'm sure there's still a lot of stuff in the U.S. that I don't know about, just because I think I've somehow pushed all that out of my brain. But thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything else you'd like me to react to, let me know in the comment section below. Send me more music of Ukraine. I would love to know more about Ukraine, music wise and culture wise. I don't know. I just think that it's I don't know why I'm drawn to. There's just something about Ukraine that just draws me. Like same with Australia and New Zealand. Apparently these three countries just really draw my interest. I don't know why, but I love it. So let me know in the comment section below what else I should react to. Subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys next time.